Hello, everybody. Welcome to Standard Definition. I'm your host this episode, ADV. Joining me, as always, is the wise Wisconsin Knight, Mr. Jesse Douglas.
How's it going?
And, of course, boss man himself, Mr. Corey Denny.
Hello. I am ready for some dream. Insert beep here.
Casting.
I'm sorry, we just did like a 2-hour episode of something else that's already out, but it was just like, I'm ready to go for this show, but then I'm also like ready to go to bed. You know what I mean? It's like,
hold on, first you had energy, but now you're energy.
I know, it's like I'm in that weird spot where like I have energy, but it's like it's like I have enough energy to do stuff, but I'm also in that place where like if I just lay down in my bed, I would probably fall asleep before I fully laid down. You know what I mean?
Couch. Yeah, I understand. So, there's been times that I got off of work and the living room is like 10 steps from where we enter, and if I touch that couch, I don't care what I have on, I'm out.
Right.
So, but everybody, we have come together to talk about maybe one of a lot of people's favorite console, retro console, and maybe one of the best Sega consoles that they have ever made. Yes, everybody, we're talking about the Dreamcast.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the Saturn.
Oh no!
I need to back up. I need to make a new list, guys. I thought we were talking about the Sega CD. Oh no!
Oh wow!
Oh no! So, I only have Night Trap and Sewer Shark on my list.
Oh no! How? That's impossible.
I need to restart. Erase, back up.
Echo. It would have just been Echo the Dolphin for me because that's the only game I played on the Sega CD.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna give some history about it, and then we all have come together with a list of 5 games each for the system. So the Dreamcast is a home video game console released by Sega on November 27th, 1998 in Japan, September 9th in 1999 in North America, and October 14, 1999 in Europe. So that's why here in America you see the 9999 for it. It was the first in the 6th generation of video game consoles, preceding Sony's PlayStation 2, Nintendo's GameCube, and Microsoft's Xbox. The Dreamcast, the Dreamcast was Sega's final home console, marking the end of the company's 18-year in the console market. In contrast to the expensive hardware of the unsuccessful Sega Saturn, the Dreamcast was designed to reduce costs with off-the-shelf components, including a Hitachi SH4 CPU and an NEC Power VR2 GPU. Released in Japan to a subdued reception, the Dreamcast enjoyed a successful US launch backed by a large marketing campaign, but interest in the system steadily declined as Sony built hype for the upcoming PlayStation 2. Sales did not meet Sega's expectations despite several price cuts, and the company continued to incur significant financial losses. After a change in leadership, Sega discounted the Dreamcast on March 31st, 2001, withdrawing from the console business and restructuring itself as a third-party publisher. 9.13 million Dreamcast units were sold worldwide. Although the Dreamcast had a short lifespan and a limited third-party support, reviewers have considered the console ahead of its time. Its library contains many games considered creative and innovative, including Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, and Shenmue, as well as high-quality ports from Sega's Naomi arcade system board. The Dreamcast was also the first console to include a built-in modem for internet support and online play. So, for anyone who wants to look at the Dreamcast, you've probably seen it. It was like a white box, rectangle box with a orange swirl. The controller, it had one analog stick, 4-point directional pad. It had a triangle joystick. The colors was yellow, green, blue, and red for its buttons. It had an L and R button, but it also had a memory card that was called the UMV card. And what you would do is you would save your games in the controller, and you could take the UMV out and play some games and take it on the go. It had 4 ports built in for 4 extra controllers, so almost like the GameCube in it. So I remember getting my Dreamcast, so was kind of close to the end of 2001 that I got it. They were like they had discontinued it, and they were selling it off. I was able to get it with my own money because I did some DJ work for my old high school, and they ended up paying me for my DJ work there. So I took my check, cashed it, and went to Granny Mills here in Illinois. And bought my Dreamcast there and started racking up games. But my brother, he had the Dreamcast first, and then once he moved out, he took his Dreamcast with me. And when I got mine, that's when I started getting the games. Corey, when did you get your Dreamcast?
Well, I didn't get one right away. I wanted one, but I was also like really into my Nintendo 64 at the time, and I was really into Nintendo 64, and then I was playing Tony Hawk 1 on my Nintendo 64, and it was that time where you kind of start noticing games are different, like third-party games, especially on Nintendo consoles, were like really not as good, right? Like Tony Hawk was not as good as the PlayStation version, right? And there's a couple other games I felt that way about. Nintendo's games were always great on the console, but I mean, that's how it always is, though, right? Where like third-party games on Nintendo consoles are always they're just not as good, right? I couldn't think of a smarter word to use. So they're just not as good. So I remember going to Best Buy where they used to have like the big kiosks to like test out consoles, and they had Dreamcast there. And they had one for Sonic Adventure, Crazy Taxi, and Jet Grind Radio. And I played all three of those games, and I was like, I need to get a Dreamcast. So I started saving my money for a Dreamcast. And around the time there were rumors going around that Sega was going to end production of the Dreamcast, I really wanted it because I was like, oh, well, if this console's going out, I can get a bunch of games for cheap, right? And so I waited a little bit, and my friends had Dreamcasts too, so I would always go over there and play, and then I'd play my Nintendo 64 at home. And then right when they dropped the first day they dropped the console to $99, I bought one. It came with I think I'd saved up like $150. For $150, I got a Dreamcast, a second controller, a VMU, a Rumble Pack. The console bundle that I got, that was $99, came with Sonic Adventure 1, Sonic Adventure 2, Crazy Taxi, and NBA 2K. So I got all those games at the same time. And then I got NFL 2K, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, all for $150.
Nice.
So nice.
That was a pretty good day, and I still have all of those games. I used to have a lot more, but then I got rid of them to get games for GameCube. Which I know we're gonna do a GameCube episode at some point, but
we have
to make time for the GameCube episode though, because I feel like not anything against the Dreamcast or anything, but that GameCube episode is going to probably be a couple hours long.
Dude, but I don't even want to start.
Yeah, let's just keep going with the Dreamcast. So I got that, and I really loved the Dreamcast, and then I ended up. There's a grocery store around here called Mark's. It's just like a local kind of chain of grocery stores throughout Ohio, and they had gotten sometimes they have like a clearance shelf where they get stuff from other stores and then turn around and resell it, right? They had a ton of Dreamcast games for some reason, and they don't sell video games there like at all. So they had a bunch of Dreamcast games, so I ended up getting Blue Stinger and Illbleed at Mark's for like $3 a piece. NBA 2K2 for like $3. Like all these great Dreamcast games for like $3 a piece. I ended up getting Crazy Taxi 2 for $3, and this roller coaster game called Coaster Works which lets you build roller coasters and ride them. Like that's all it is. It's not like Roller Coaster Tycoon or anything where you manage the park. You literally just build roller coasters and ride them on your TV. So I ended up getting all those games for like $3 a piece. It was awesome.
Nice.
And then, you know, the Dreamcast was like this weird system that existed for a year in my life, and it was a good year of gaming, and then I moved on to PS2 and GameCube. So, but yeah, that's how I got my GameCube. I got it at Best Buy for $150 with a bunch of games, which was awesome. It feels really good when you go in. Like, I kind of miss that, you know, when you would like go into a store and you knew like there were a bunch of games that this was before like I was keeping up and trying to play everything that's new right away, right?
Yeah.
Where you would just go in and you had been reading about these games in EGM or Nintendo Power for so long, and you would save up your money for like 6 months of chores or whatever, and like you'd go in and just blow it all on like 3 or 4 games. It was the best.
It was weird because I would bargain bin like shop with like in Value City and stuff like that, and look in and be like, okay, what is Hunter Mutants? Okay, this is only $250, and you'll pick it up, and even though it's just like it's a bargain game, sometimes you will be like, this is so much fun, but you're a kid, and so you don't know about this stuff.
Yeah, I a lot of the times too, like I loved once like Blockbuster and Family Video started doing where like they would like after the games had been there for a while, they would buy so many copies when it was brand new, but then once it was older, to make room for the new games coming out, they would sell a bunch of the copies that they had of games. And so I did at one point buy like I think I bought, that would have been during like the GameCube and N64 era, I think, that they first started doing that year. So I had bought a couple of games because I would rent them, and then if I really liked them, I'd be like, okay, I got to keep, you know, remember this game or this game. So when they start selling those copies, that I can try to get in there and hopefully buy one for a discounted price. So.
That was our people's choice. They would have like Super Nintendo games for $4. So I got like Mega Man X, like the whole series like for $10.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting. Awesome. It would be interesting if you was getting the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, or mostly the Super Nintendo ones, or Sega Genesis, and they have a save system in there. Because when you look on it, you get to see who all rented stuff.
Yeah.
And if you just like, I never beat this game. Oh, this person almost beat the game. Did you play their thing and be like, I beat the game?
Yeah. Yeah, good old save states.
Yeah. Well, everybody, that is our. Well, Jesse, how did you get into the Dreamcast? I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Yeah. For me, so I started off kind of being like I never really owned. In the beginning, never really owned a Nintendo per se of my own. I started with the you know, Master System and then just kind of stuck with Sega. But it wasn't that I didn't like Nintendo. I loved Nintendo games. It's just all my friends that during that time, when you're that age, you're doing sleepovers and you're hanging out at your friends all the time. So like other than the Game Boy, I really didn't own any, you know, Nintendo stuff because I had, you know, access to it basically whenever I wanted. So I kind of always stuck around with the buying Sega stuff for myself because my friends didn't have the Sega stuff. And so like early on though, I was really into playing games on PC because there was just certain games that like if you wanted the best experience, you know, like for certain type of games, like that was where you had to go, just like the games in general. Like a lot of them didn't come to the consoles, they were only on PC. And with me being a first person shooter fan and basically have been since I was younger, once the Dreamcast came out, like I bought that thing like right away, like release date, because I had been waiting for it.
Mhm.
I was excited because like it was getting, like the type of games that I loved playing on PC at the time. And I was like, I'd love to be able to play, on console again, because like, I had the N64 and stuff. And so I would play that for a lot and with my friends a lot and stuff when I wasn't playing on PC. But I still kind of was more drawn to PC. But then once Dreamcast came out, then I started going back to console gaming more. And so really the Dreamcast, like, not only did it bring me back to console gaming, it was like the point when I finally felt like, like I had I could do a lot more of the games that I would like to play all on console again.
Mhm.
And don't, remind you, I also did have the PS1, the PS2, like I had all the consoles at that time. So like, I wasn't missing out on anything per se, but it was nice once the Dreamcast came out and I could get those, the arcade games, and I could play them at home, and like all the great things that I loved. So our list of games though that we did, that's for afterwards?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah,
okay.
we're gonna jump into our list because like one of the best selling games on there was Sonic 2, which was 2.5 million and everything. Um, so that's kind of like the best selling thing, like leading game on that system. But there's other games that we all have played and that became our favorites. And it was really for a lot of them just exclusive to the Dreamcast that you didn't find on any other platform. Even when GameCube, Xbox, and PlayStation came out, they just didn't port some of those games over. And some of them they did port over, but that was way later on in it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Jesse, we're going to start with you. What is your number 5 game?
My number 5 game would be Ready to Rumble boxing.
That game's on my list too.
Is it?
I mean, I have about 12 games here just in case somebody
okay.
said something, because I do want to cover as many games as we can, and it's not
Yeah.
like it's not like I played any of these games really that recently, right? So like
Yeah.
but yeah, Ready to Rumble boxing was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a boxing game by Midway, and published by Midway. It's an arcade beat 'em up boxing game. It was very, very interesting when it came out, but most people remember, like, if you had to say one of the characters that's more recognizable is the black guy with the afro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On it.
Yep. He was on the cover of the second one, wasn't he?
I think he was on the cover of both of them.
Okay, yeah, maybe he was, yeah.
Because he was fighting like this bigger, like, I remember it was like this bigger white dude with blonde hair with blue trunks on one of the covers. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I just remember that guy was funny. Like, it had like a real comedic twist to it.
Yeah.
It was almost like
very, very similar to like the Punch Out type of kind of thing, but it was like taking Punch Out to the 3D world almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Ready to Rumble, playing it in the arcade and then playing it on Dreamcast. I didn't own it, but one of my friends, he also had a Dreamcast and he had the game, so I played it over there. So yeah, wow, Ready to Rumble.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wanna, or well, I think I think I was going to. No, did I get? No, I don't know if I picked it up. I haven't looked at. I'm trying to collect stuff for Dreamcast again because I eventually got rid of all my stuff too to make some money, but I had a bunch of stuff too.
Yeah, Ready to Rumble. Oh goodness, just that game. Everybody go watch a video of it. It's just like Wow, like that. I think that was the only other arcade boxing game that I, outside of Punch Out and Ring Out, uh,
Yeah.
that was kind of one of the biggest like boxing games like
Yeah.
in the future. Because was it Muhammad Ali? No. There was one for Sega Genesis after a famous boxer.
The
Also,
Mike Tyson. Was there the Mike Tyson or not Mike Tyson? Yeah, there was another.
Was that Vander Holyfield or something like that?
It might have been
I know, Sega was doing a lot of like.
George Foreman.
I think George
Wasn't
Foreman
there the George Foreman one?
I think
Yeah.
so, yeah. But there was another one. I know at that time Sega was really getting a lot of professional celebrities in sports being the
Yeah.
title of their games. So, but yeah, awesome. Ready to Rumble. That's a good choice. Query, what is your number 5?
My number 5 game is Blue Stinger, which was like this is it's kind of a big joke between me and my cousin Michael, where like this game is it's pretty much it was published by Activision here in the US, and it's basically a very colorful like imagine if Resident Evil 2 took place during the day on a tropical island when it was Christmas time. That's this game. And you had a really stupid looking
Die Hard.
and it's like Leon Kennedy is like the cool guy with the leather jacket, and it's like remember the direct TV commercials with Rob Lowe? This is basically
yes, I do.
Okay, so if Leon Kennedy's like the direct TV version of a character, this guy, the protagonist in this game, is the cable version of this guy from those commercials. But he has a cool sidekick named Dog. His name is Dogs, and he has a Gatling gun, and then you can get different like costumes for the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, Dogs dresses up like Santa and a sumo wrestler, and it gives him different moves. Like if you wear the karate t-shirt, you get like a karate kick, and if you dress up like Santa, you get like you get some sort of move. But also he has this really big Gatling gun that you can carry around.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like when you get the Gatling gun, you can't aim it; it just automatically sprays in an arc. So
wow.
He's just automatically spraying in an arc, and like it's cool for crowd control, but when you're fighting a boss, it sucks. It's so bad.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like you can upgrade all your weapons and stuff and whatever, and there's actually a lightsaber in the strip club of the game. Like you can go into a strip club and there's all these like zombie strippers that you can like murder, and like by quote zombie strippers, all of the enemies, there's only like 3 variety of enemies in this game, and like you just assume that they're zombie strippers, but they really just look like all the rest of the enemies in the game. It's just because you're in the strip club. But there's a lightsaber in the strip club that you can find and like slice these zombies in. But the best weapon in the entire game is the emergency axe, which is like the weapon you find first.
Corey, I have to read the synopsis setting for this. 65 million years ago, a meteorite crashes into the Yucatan Peninsula, subsequently wiping out the dinosaurs and paving the way for humans. Now, in 2000, an island emerges where the meteorite is thought to have landed and is granted the name Dinosaur Island.
Oh, you're reading the opening crawl. That's literally the opening crawl of the game. It's like Star Wars.
A biotech corporation then takes up shop on the island. In 2018, Elliot Belade, an elite member of the ESER, Emergency Sea Evacuation and Rescue Forces, is vacationing near Dinosaur Island when
but
something
yet he's
falls
still
from
in
the
full
sky.
uniform. He's still in his like shirt, his cop shirt.
Yeah. It falls from the sky and leaves the island sealed under a mysterious dome of energy. When the mysterious ether wheel being called Nephilim shows up to chase Blade, he takes it upon himself to solve the enigma of Dinosaur Island. And then it tells the plot, and
It's awesome.
it is Elliot Belay is on vacation off the coast of Dinosaur Island with his friend Billy fishing on a boat. While preparing for a Christmas party on the boat, a meteorite crashes into the island and sends a large barrier out, which cuts Elliot's boat in half, leaving him inside of the barrier. Just then, a mysterious light approaches and takes the form of Billy's good luck charm, Nephilim. Shortly afterward, several creatures storm toward the boat and destroy it. Elliot swims to shore. On shore, Elliot is assisted by Nephilim and meets Dog's Bauer. Are you serious?
Yep.
Dog's Bauer?
Yep. And he has his main weapon is a bow gun. Not a bow gun, a bow gun.
Original discoverer of the island and a local sea captain. The two team up as they explore the island and confront the monsters and mutations that have taken it over. Oh my goodness. I know this game. I never played it. I've seen it. And you have everybody, please look up the cover, the North American cover.
Also, if you want to watch a really fun playthrough of this game, Game Informer did a super replay of this, and it's like 15 parts. Seriously, watch it. It's so funny. It's like when I need something on in the background that I don't feel like paying attention to, I put this super replay on from them because it's so funny. Just like while they're talking over the game, it's so good.
Oh my goodness!
It's
Dog's Bow.
Yeah. And it's so funny.
90s.
Like the funny thing is like this game, like it sounds like whoever recorded the voice acting like stuck a microphone up to a telephone and just had them read lines through a telephone. And then they're like, "Oh, that's a good take," and it was like the first take they took.
Wow.
It's so funny. This game is but playing the game and like the environments are interesting, like outside of like it just being like a really bad game. It's also like it's one of those games that's so bad it's good type thing. Mm-hmm. And like it's just fun to go back to. So But it was also fun to play through with my cousin at the time because it's a survival horror game, but it's not really scary. You know, it's not like Resident Evil. Dude, it takes place on a tropical island during Christmas time. How scary can that be? You know?
Oh, the place called Dinosaur Island where there's probably no dinosaurs there.
There's one. There's definitely one. Also, big twist, 2/3 of the way through the game. You go through this area and you're poisoned and you actually start transforming into a dinosaur, and there's a timer, and if you don't find the medicine in 45 minutes, it's a long timer. If you don't find the medicine in 45 minutes, you die.
Because you turn into a dinosaur.
Yeah, there's also this really awkward scene where Dogs and Elliot like shower together. It's just like really awkward.
This is a wacky game,
dude. It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
I'm gonna buy it if I find it.
Please do, Jesse.
I will.
There's also another game that takes place in the Blue Stinger universe called Illbleed, which is equally as bad. It's actually worse. Actually, I would say it's worse. And like
literally watch the commercial for Illbleed and have the time of your life.
Yeah. So
I'll get it tomorrow, guys.
It's so good. Illbleed is there's also a Game Informer super replay of Illbleed, and it is worse. It does some really interesting mechanics like on paper, but they're just not great.
Yeah, I heard the sound effects of Illbleed, and boy, we have come a long way. We have. Well, my number 5 is Legacy of Kain, Soul Weaver.
I almost put that on my list, but I figured somebody would have it. So
Oh, I love this game. I actually had Legacy of K. So the first game is called Blood Omen Legacy of K, where you play a
Mhm.
vampire, and it's a top-down action RPG, and you could suck the blood out of humans and stuff and everything, and you go and fight. And Soul Reaver was the follow-up to it. And it's like a 3D action adventure game. Kind of in the realm almost of Legend of Zelda. You could pretty much see a little bit of Tomb Raider in this, like the modern
Mhm.
Tomb Raider. And everybody loved this game. And it did get a sequel, Soul Reaver 2, and I played that. That one was good too. But man, everybody wanted a part 3 to this game because um they didn't end when they did when they did two, they didn't finish the game. They didn't finish the game. Three was supposed to conclude it, and they never finished it. And it was just like, oh man! But it's a great like action RPG. I advise everybody to go take a look at it. A lot of people really want this game to come back, and it would literally be cool of Eidos and Crystal Dynamic and Square Enix bring it to the next gen. Like I could see this game on PlayStation 5, Switch, and Series X. Like the third version or like a remaster version.
Mhm.
Oh, that would be, or just even put all three games on it and just make it something like just downloadable. A lot of people will buy this game, but
I
man,
wonder if they would just remake it at this point,
Yeah, I
just
think like
because
a remake.
it's been so long, and like
mm,
I feel like that game. I mean, it's not like everyone who played it loved it, but it didn't sell like gangbusters, right? Like
yeah,
I feel like if they really put the time into it and really remade it with care and stuff, like I feel like it would be a pretty decent seller.
yeah, and
Yeah,
and not. Oh, go ahead, Jesse.
I feel like that game was kind of almost ahead of its time in some ways. Like
Hmm.
it was different. Like at least for me, like because like there was certain stuff that I feel like around that time that on Dreamcast that I was playing that I had wouldn't normally play on other consoles or on PC. But
Yeah, one of the writers is Amy Hennig. She wrote on this.
Hmm.
oh, okay. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, this was one of
so
her first games, I think, like major
yeah,
games.
yeah. Oh, it's just so good. Um, but yeah, that was my number five. Jesse, what's your number four?
My number four is Quake 3. So
Ooh, interesting.
I loved playing the first person shooter games, be it
Hmm.
Wolfenstein, Doom, Quake, Unreal Tournament, like I was playing all that stuff. And like on PS2, I did eventually play like we were earlier before the show trying to think of games that were like online for PS2, and I remember I used to play the SOCOM 2 on PS2 as well, and so like yeah, so like for me, like once consoles started, coming out where they actually had the internet and stuff, like I was like, okay, now I can play Quake, but I can play it on the console as well. I don't have to fire up my PC to do it. So yeah, that was like one of my favorite games to play. That and Unreal Tournament are kind of in the same thing for me, but
And Quake 3 didn't have a story mode, right? It was just all just multiplayer, correct?
um I don't remember. I mostly only played multiplayer, but I can't remember off the top of my head right now because the I don't I don't think it did, but yeah, I mean, that was the thing is like I really first person shooters, I just all I cared about was playing online with my friends or whatever and stuff. So like I was a really early adapter to the not caring if there's a story mode in a game, if
Hmm.
it's like that kind of game, all I cared about was playing online and being competitive. So but yeah, it's like it was just awesome seeing like a Quake game running, really decent on a console and stuff. So
Because wasn't it a player?
yeah, I believe so. I believe it was 8. I know like yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 8. Because it was like, I feel like if we were to go back now, those arenas and the maps that you played in were pretty small compared to today's standards. So, even with it, even arena games, I mean, like, look at Halo, look at how big those maps are now. Like,
because Quake 3 is that Unreal Engine it was running on?
Yeah. Yep.
That was the first engine they did.
Yeah. Okay. Unreal. Yeah. The Unreal. Well, actually, I'm trying to think.
Wasn't Quake on the id Tech? Because it was like id Tech versus Unreal at that point, right? And Quake and Doom and all that stuff were running on id Tech, and Unreal Tournament was to show off what the Unreal Engine 2 could do at the time. So, yeah.
The camera just shut up. Oh, there.
I see you, Ed. Edward.
Corey.
Oh, hi.
Corey.
Hi.
Yeah, it's just being all weird.
Skype.
It just switched Corey and...
It's Skype. It's all right.
Oh, but go ahead, Corey.
Oh, I was just saying that Unreal Tournament was put out on console to show that engine was diverse enough to take on consoles as well as PCs gaming at the time. So...
okay.
That's really all I had to say. Sorry.
Well, Corey.
Yeah,
go ahead, Jesse.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. It came out like literally the next year after Quake 3 did, or even shorter than that, maybe.
For Unreal.
Unreal. Yeah, because I think then Quake 3 was kind of like the last game to be done on that old stuff, and then they started the Unreal engine, and then from then on basically started using that.
Okay. Well, Corey, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, with a nod to Dave Mirra's Pro BMX, which is the BMX game that's I kind of put those together on Dreamcast because I played a lot of those games. Like a lot. And I don't know, man, it just felt really good because I feel like that analog stick really worked well with those games. I don't know, that controller felt perfect for those games, and pulling off combos and stuff really just felt natural with those triggers and that stick and the buttons. Like, it just felt really good to play at. And it also ran better than the PlayStation and N64 version, definitely. So it was fun. It looked better. It ran cleaner. It definitely used the Dreamcast power at that time to their advantage to run those games. And also, wouldn't be honest with myself if I didn't mention those soundtracks. Definitely. That's Dave Mirra's Pro BMX is where I learned who Sublime was, and
That was was it pop punk?
Dude, I don't, not or really.
Tony Hawk's
was definitely punk.
But okay, because wasn't it Terminate pop punk? Like, it wasn't actual, like, Sublime. Did they do were they straight punk or rock?
They were more they're more almost not reggae, but it's
like reggae rock type mix.
Yeah, what's
okay.
the why am I blanking, like Real Big Fish and all that? They're considered ska. Yeah.
Okay.
Technically, it's got a little bit more of a hip hop, influence to it, but it basically, Sublime is kind of a version, like its own like genre of ska.
Ska. So ska and pop punk were separate at that time. Because I was always trying to wonder which style certain groups were doing. Because sometimes they would do a song and people would be like, "Well, it's a pop punk song," and then they'd be like, "It's ska." And I'm just like, "What kind of band is this? This is the same band." I
Yeah.
thought that different style. Okay, that's cool. Well, I've never played any of the Tony Hawk games. I just
Ooh, no.
Oh
no.
man, they're so good. Those first like, I didn't really play 4, but those first 3 games are. You want to talk about near perfect gameplay?
I have 2 and 3 for PS2 right now downstairs.
People like 2 and 3, right? Or
They
was
like-
it 2
I
just
think
the
they-
Yeah.
I think 2, 3, and 4 are considered the best ones.
Yeah, after 3, wasn't it the Underground? Didn't they start to go at Tony Hawk's Underground? Like there's the one with Viva, it's Tony Hawk and Viva La Bam, or like Bam or whatever, from like eventually they did where it was a crossover where it was Bam and Tony Hawk together, and so you could like play.
I think it was like
you did.
what, Tony Hawk's Underground, or was it American Wasteland did that? I forget which one merged them.
Yeah, there was Underground, and then there was Tony Hawk's. They started getting into a whole bunch of different
games. Yeah.
Well, there was Thug and Thug 2, and then there was American Wasteland, and then Downhill Jam for Wii, and then they started making the ones with the peripherals, and then they tried to make Tony Hawk 5, which was I heard was pretty bad.
That killed the whole Tony Hawk franchise, like badly.
Yeah, so. But yeah, I think especially the first 4 really still hold up, because I actually maybe like a year ago plugged in my Dreamcast to see if everything still worked, because I was prepping stuff for shows that we're gonna do eventually, and I wanted to see if my Dreamcast still worked. I played some Tony Hawk 2. It still holds up. So
yeah, Tony Hawk's Proving Ground.
Yeah, that was
like there was that one, and yeah, there was Underground then eventually, and yeah. I was trying to think. I was like, I know there was another one besides that, the American Wasteland. But yeah, I'm pretty sure American Wasteland is the one where they merged the BAM and stuff together, and you kind of interacted with the characters from BAM, and they kind of had a whole storyline based around that. Those guys in there. So.
Well, my number 4 is Resident Evil Veronica. I was gonna put Resident Evil 3 on here because we're gonna have let's talk about Resident Evil 3 later.
Yeah.
Because of course we got the remake coming out, and I remember playing the old version on Dreamcast, but this was the first Resident Evil game that I did not like. Like, I know you guys have your viewpoints on 4, but man, I did not like Resident Evil Veronica on Dreamcast. And I put it on there because I remember the cover. I remember I was so excited for this game because I had just finished Resident Evil 2. Like, both stories on N64. And I was just like, oh, Code Veronica looked so cool. And it looked like it was going to be just a whole different thing for the Resident Evil franchise. And I played the hour and a half of it, and I was just like, yeah, they're still doing the tank controls, but these camera angles are bad. Like, that was probably one of my first bad modern games that I ever played. But it's so high regarded because people really enjoy the story of it, as wacky and weird that it is. And I was just like, Capcom, what the heck are you doing? Like, this was kind of one of my first letdown games, but it was a Resident Evil game. I thought nothing could go wrong with it.
Technically, this game was supposed to be Resident Evil 3, but PlayStation had a contract where, they couldn't put Resident Evil on other consoles until they got 3 numbered entries. So that's why Resident Evil 3 and 2 kind of feel similar, is because they tried to rush out 2 sequels so they could start putting the games on other consoles. Which is why 2 and 3 both came out in the same year on Dreamcast, and Code Veronica came out like a year later, because Code Veronica is actually the game after 2. Like, it's the first game after 2 in the storyline. So, and that's kind of how they got around not having to put it on only PlayStation, is because they started development, and it's technically the third game, but it's not numbered, so they could put it on the console, right? So
because 3 they had to hurry up, and I think because Veronica didn't sell well, I think they panicked. I think they made 3 within a year after Veronica came out.
3 came out before Code Veronica. 3 came out like a year after 2.
Then it might have been after.
I think it was the other way around.
Version I think the Dreamcast version then came out a little bit later, because they put Resident Evil 3 on Dreamcast, and that's where I played it from. And so I thought when it came to Dreamcast that it came to PlayStation 2 in other places. I thought it was first on Dreamcast and everywhere else. Oh wow, yeah. But Jesse, what is your number 3?
Well, my number 3 was Code Veronica, but I'll just replace it with another game. I didn't play a whole lot of it back in the day, but I do want to get into it more. But I did like it at the time. But I'm gonna just put Alone in the Dark and replacing that. And I just like less than a year ago bought it again for Dreamcast and have played it a little bit, and I'm still enjoying it, even though it's very, very outdated at this point. I mean, it was before Resident Evil or whatever. And
there was a debate about that when Alone in the Dark came out. They said that was kind of like the first survival horror, but Capcom did a survival horror game on NES in Japan way before Alone in the Dark came.
But it was kind of it was the right around that time when they first started, that kind of game started getting popular, and with that and Resident Evil eventually then. And so it's very similar, if you playing a Resident Evil game. I still prefer Resident Evil over it, just because especially the first Resident Evil, it being more so in a house. Like you're more inside something, whereas Alone in the Dark is taking place kind of outside, and there's a lot of outdoor stuff that you're doing. And I just do prefer the setting of the Resident Evil games for that part. But this is still if you like Resident Evil games, I still think this is a game that people should try and play and experience, because they did a really good job in this game with the sounds and stuff. That's one of the things that I would say that Resident Evil didn't do as well, is the ambiance and the sounds that are going on while you're outside. They kind of do that in the Resident Evil 2 games as well, but I feel like it was better in 2 or 3, the sound stuff.
They were doing, Capcom was doing something new with Resident Evil, but I agree with you. And again, like most games during this time, it wasn't just on Dreamcast, but Dreamcast was definitely the more powerful, better running system at the time to play a lot of games on. And so I definitely, once Dreamcast had come out, I
kind of put a lot of my PlayStation stuff more to the side, and I would try to get things if they came to Dreamcast instead for that, you know.
It's kind of weird because like the Dreamcast was basically just a more powerful PlayStation in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So
I would argue that it was pretty similar to what would eventually be the PS2. Like I honestly don't think it was really that much worse than the PS2. Like I don't think it would have been able to run PS2 games as good, but I think if they were to port those games over to the Dreamcast, they still would have probably been able to run pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Alone in the Dark. I never got a chance to play it, but I seen it in magazines and I read about it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now the new version, we won't say nothing about that.
In my opinion, it doesn't even exist. But
Well, Corey, what is your number 3?
My number 3 game is, well, it's actually 2 games again. I'm sorry I keep doing this, but it's the Sega sports games. NBA 2K and NFL 2K are both fantastic sports series, and obviously NBA 2K is still going today, but it started on the Dreamcast, and it started as Sega Sports was publishing it, and then 2K, obviously now a Take-Two interactive branch, but NBA 2K was amazing. I started buying this over NBA Live like way before, you know, it was cool to do that. And you know, when I got my PS2, I got NBA Live 2001 and Madden 2001, and like Madden on PS2 was amazing. I still think Madden hasn't been good since then, right? I still think Madden is, the PS2 versions of Madden are the best versions, and everything since then has not been good. But, you know, I played the crap out of these sports games. I actually thought the play calling stuff in NFL 2K was better. I thought the defensive schemes were better. I thought a lot of just the choice stuff in NFL 2K was better. And obviously, when 2K5 came out at $20 to battle Madden that year, it was quite a nice option, let's say. I mean, I bought both games that year, and I still played Madden because a lot of my friends still played Madden, but like when I would play competitively, but when I was playing by myself, I would play 2K, and it's just. But those Sega sports games are just they're still good to this day.
I played the season on the first NBA 2K. I played as the Blazers, and I beat the game with them. Like the Blazers, they weren't my team, but because of me playing them in NBA 2K, they became one of my favorite basketball teams. Like I didn't really care about the Bulls. I became a Blazer fan by playing that game and always doing the dunks and hitting the threes. That was my go-to thing. If I was able to hit them good old threes or I was able to get a good dunk, I was good to go. And I did a whole season of like I didn't skip anything. Like I played every season. I played every game of that season. Yes, Corey?
Yeah. No, I'm just shaking my head.
Why did you play? Who team did you play as?
Well, I played as the Cavs because I'm a homer, and this was before the Cavs had LeBron, so you know I was committed. I was playing with Tyrell Brandon and Wesley Person. Okay, so you guys can just keep your LeBron comments to yourself. That's all I have to say.
Jesse, when you played it, or if you played it, who was your team? Who did you choose?
I didn't really play the NBA 2K.
Okay.
I've just never been into basketball. For me, like I mean, like I had two NFL 2K on my list as my next one. But I would put also and I played NHL 2K as well on Dreamcast, like
Oh,
because
that one was good.
yeah, the like because I remember the first time that I really realized how fun the like hockey games was
Yes.
I believe on 64. I played, I forget which one it was now, but we used to have so much fun playing on the 64 and stuff, and yeah, and then I played would started playing the NHL 2K games on Dreamcast and stuff. So
I did
like
like
all
the
those sports games.
but I think out of the 2K games, I really loved NHL box art. That box art was so cool
Yeah, yeah,
for the NL2 games. Especially when because at first they started white and then they started having the black ones. And the
yeah,
black cover with the blue was just like, oh, it was so tight and
yeah,
on point. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh so for me, my number three game was Elemental Gimmick Gear. This is an action RPG game. You played as a egg, uh, and this was developed by Birthday. In Japan, it was published by Hudson Soft, but in North America, it was published by Vatico Entertainment. The cover art looks crazy, but like if you look at it, what they would do is like everything was hand drawn and it was like overhead. But when you got into the boss fights, they switched to 3D graphics for it. And it was it was a really cool game. It was just something that's way out there. Like if when we talk about art in games and sprite in games, a lot of people don't know about this, and so but if you look at it, it was one of the most beautiful games on the Dreamcast to me until a certain other game came out that's on my list. But yeah, Elemental Gimmick Gear, I recommend everybody go take a look at it. It was a new RPG game, and it kind of reminded me of Zelda, but instead of having the sword, you actually was punching stuff. And when you got into your egg, your elemental gimme gear, short for egg, it would spin around. So you would be able to get into places and spin around, and it will open up doors and solve puzzles and stuff. And for some enemies, you would spin and hit them back and forth. It's a really cool game. It was just something that I look. It said action RPG. I seen the RPG mechanics, and I just went to the counter and bought it and left the store. And when I got home, I spent days playing that game. I could never get everything, but I did beat it and stuff. And I was just like, how did you get up there? But yeah, Elemental Gimmick Gear was my number three. So Jesse, what is your number two game?
I had to mute it because the cat, but yeah. So I know Corey mentioned it already, but like he kind of focused more on the NBA one. So NFL 2K for me, like that by far, I think to date is the game that I've put the most time into playing on my Dreamcast. I just like I'm kind of the opposite. I just never ever liked the Madden games ever. Like I just felt like they never worked correctly, or just something was weird about them, or maybe they just made it too hard to pull off, like passes and stuff like that. But like it was like once I played NFL 2K, it's like it actually felt like plays would actually work. Whereas in like a lot of the times I felt like in the Madden games, like plays a lot of time wouldn't actually barely ever work. Like I would not. It just seemed like I could never convert to or get like get a first down or anything. It would seem like my guys would never catch the ball, or it would always be an interception, or like it didn't. It wasn't enjoyable. But then, like, once the NFL 2K games, came along, it was like finally a sports game, a football game that I found myself actually enjoying, playing, and it seemed to work better, and it just felt good to play, and and it was at the time, like, the graphics and the look of it were like, man, this looks awesome, like it looks so real, for that time.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. Yeah, they just seem to have like a perfect, like, feel for those kind of sports in a game type. And again, like, like Corey said, like, all of them, all the 2K games they just did an amazing job. I mean, there's a reason why EA had to snatch up that NFL license, because they were sick of competition actually being out there that made their games look bad.
Yeah, that is true. And it's kind of sad how the 2K games have turned out now. But like back on the Dreamcast days, they were, if you wanted sports, they were the sports that you went to to play. So So Corey, what is your number 2?
My number 2 game for the Sega Dreamcast is, let's see here. What do I want to pick? I feel like Crazy Taxi is probably on somebody else's list, so I should probably pick a different game.
I can tell you it's not on mine.
It's on mine.
I'm gonna tell you, this is an Ed game right here. Dynamite Cop. It's
I remember this game.
It's a 2D. Basically, it's a Double Dragon on steroids and acid and all that all at the same time, and cocaine all at the same time.
Was the arcade game like Die Hard?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, it looks like it. I mean, it's more like these super cops go in, like the main campaign takes place on a boat with this guy with like this red laser Terminator eye type thing.
Yeah.
Like he's like this ripped like 90-year-old man, and he kidnaps some girl, and you go in, and then just like Double Dragon, at the end of the game, you fight for her love. You literally beat up the other player you're playing with for her love. So it's ridiculous. Like, you can pick up weapons and barrels and guns and stuff, but it's just wacky, over the top fun.
What is the one with it? It looked like Die Hard, but you was like fighting firemen. You was in the building. You was doing quick time events, like running and then slowly drop kicking them and everything.
That's Dynamite Cop. That's a different campaign. There's like 4 different campaigns in the Dreamcast version.
Okay, because I was just like, I know I remember this game, because like it was trying to be like 3D.
Yeah.
Sense, but
I mean, it was kind of like it was kind of like, well, I don't want to compare it to this game in any way other than the camera angle, but like Super Mario 3D World, where it's kind of like higher up, kind of, it's like a 3D space, but you're still moving left to right type thing. Like, it's a 2.5D brawler, I would say, but on cocaine and acid instead of crappy pixelated graphics like Double Dragon on the NES.
Does anyone remember that game, Fighting Force by Idols?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I bought that game with my birthday money. Oh, yeah, I remember this game. Oh, good googly moogly. Yeah.
Yeah, Fighting Force. Yeah, I definitely played that on PlayStation.
Yeah, I did too. I was so hot because I was into beat 'em up games. It did not got it, and I was just like, this game is terrible. And I didn't read the EGM review. I should have had got another game, but I was a kid once again. I had to learn. So Dynamite Cop. Did you ever beat it, Corey?
I mean, yeah. I mean, the game's only like 30 minutes, 40 minutes if you're playing with somebody. It's not long. It's meant to be replayed. It's an arcade game. You know, like I feel like the Dreamcast had a ton of great arcade ports, right? And this was definitely one of those. So yeah.
Wait a minute. Get Keto came out for Switch.
What did?
Get Keto?
What is that?
Yeah. It's a beat 'em up game. Yeah, it came out. Yeah, it came out a while back. I have it. It was a game that was on the Game Boy.
Is it Is it a good port?
Read the reviews.
Okay.
I say skip it.
Okay.
Yeah. I never played it on the Game Boy Advance, and I decided to get it and try it, and I'm like, oh no, this is terrible. Get Sengoku 3, which was a beat 'em up game for the Neo Geo. If you're looking for a good beat 'em up game, get that one instead.
Okay.
For me, my number 2 is, and this is my heart. I love this game. Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. I played this game mad. I almost ran an old woman over, running to the counter, trying to buy the game. Like I seen it and I'm like, what? I literally screamed. And at this time I had a job. I picked that game up, ran to the counter this is when we had a GameStop in the mall. Ran into the counter. The lady was like bending over looking at some bargain bin games. And I said, move! And I hit her and went to the counter. I was literally trying to buy the game and get out. And she's like, excuse me. And I looked at her crazy, turned back and be like, I need to buy this game now. I paid my money. She went back to looking at the thing. I didn't apologize or nothing. I got home and because Street Fighter 3 never came to my area. Once again, I had arcades looking for Street Fighter 3, could never find it. So Third Strike is like kind of like the revision of Street Fighter 3.
Yeah.
They had like 3 games for it. And man, playing as Akuma, Ryu, Ken, like Ibuki, she became one of my favorite female fighters in any game. Over Orchid from Killer Instinct, over Sonya from Mortal Kombat, even over Chun-Li. Like I learned Chun-Li like in Street Fighter Alpha 3, but man, like Ibuki, I played her like hardcore on Street Fighter 3. Loved her, and because my skill was getting better on Dreamcast, I went out of state and with my family for vacation, and we happened to be at this mall, and I go in because I see this arcade and I'm like, oh, I want to stop by and play some games. It's like, okay, fine. I go in and I see that Street Fighter 3 and I'm just wrecking folks, and I'm just like, I loved it. And then it came out for PS2 and I was fighting people in PS2 getting my tail kicked, but we were having a good talk. We was just like learning stuff and everything, and I was just like, my skill level is still needs work. But Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, man, that's my heart. That's my Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for the Dreamcast.
Yeah, I was going to put like the Street Fighter on mine, but I'm like, I have a feeling it might be higher up on Ed's, because I definitely played the Street Fighter games as well, because during that time I was really into fighting games and stuff like that. And I mean, God, you had like Virtua Fighter and you had Soul Calibur and all those great fighting games all on one console, you know. And I like Darksiders. My favorite like chicken in fighting games has always been Morgan from Darksiders, but
yeah.
And she was just cool. She was just awesome looking. Like I loved her whole bat wing like outfit thing, and like, you know, or she had the wings and her cool bat outfit and stuff she was just always cool looking. So
yeah. Sorry about that. I really wanted to play Darksiders, and that's the game that I'm going to look for, and because I still got my PS2. hopefully I could find a copy and like buy that game because I really want to play that.
Yeah, I would. Yeah,
Darksiders.
I wish they would bring like Dark Stalkers to the to Switch. Like that would be cool.
Or bring it to Xbox so I could fight live, like online.
Yeah.
I would love to see, like, you know how they did the Street Fighter 30th anniversary collection. I would love to see that for Dark Stalkers at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, like, during that time, I just loved all that stuff. Like, SNK arcades were the best. Like, I was always more of a SNK over Street Fighter. Like, I was more of the SNK fighter like fan over Street Fighter, but I played both of them. Like it was like there wasn't any like I'm not gonna play those. I just like I don't know what it was. I think it was the characters or something. I just at the time like were more interesting to me in the SNK fighter games.
SNK was making their money off of arcades in all of those fights. Art of Fighting, World Heroes, Fatal Fury, King of Fighters, Double Dragon, Capcom versus SNK. Like they have tons of it, and it's just like it's another level of competition and another level of skill that Street Fighter could never give. Like if you I say watch some Let Plays, but if you get some of them on your Switch, Xbox, PS4, give those games a try and like study them because man, those games are deep. Oh, I love SNK. Now I want to play some more SNK fighters. Thank you, Jesse. Corey, what is your number 2?
My number 2 game on here would be. Wait, didn't I already gave my number 2?
Oh, you gave your number 2.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jesse, what's your number 1? I'm sorry. Did I?
My number 1 is Crazy Taxi. So for me, like literally, like Crazy Taxi, like had. At the time, I think the best soundtrack ever.
Oh yeah, The Offspring was awesome, dude. When they brought it to
Offspring,
Xbox,
Bad Religion.
When they brought it to Xbox Live, it was so disappointing that they didn't put the soundtrack in it. Like, I understand like licensing issues and stuff, but like, man, dude, that game is that soundtrack. It's like releasing Tony Hawk without the soundtrack. You know, it's that deep for that game. But yeah, man, dude, Crazy Taxi. And remember when they made the third one for Xbox?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah, even the second one I feel like wasn't as well received like as the first one still. Like that first one is still just classic.
Yeah.
And I think it was not that long ago that I had seen an arcade of it somewhere still. I forget where it was. Like it was the stand-up one where you just stand up. Oh, you know what? It was at the place that we have here by us. Like we have like a big massive arcade place that's got like bumper cars and laser tag and then it's connected to the movie theater. And it's got like a restaurant in it and stuff. But yeah, they have it. It's the stand-up one where you just got the shifter and the wheel and you stand up at it instead of the sit down one. And like that game was just so much fun and like even for how basic it was just like hours and hours of fun. Just so much fun, so addicting. I think that was one of the first games that I like found super addicting, like early on, you know, other than like the Unreal Tournament and stuff like that. But
yeah, no, I agree with you.
So good.
I agree with you. That game was just really something else. It was awesome.
Yes. Well, Corey, what is your number 1?
Okay, well, let's see here. Let's see, what didn't you guys pick? I would say, just for the sake of the conversation, Phantasy Star Online. It was the first game I ever played online. It was it was something really unique, and I really didn't understand it. And like, I wish what I know about games now, I wish I would have known then and just like learned it. Because it's not really like a traditional RPG in a sense. It's more like Monster Hunter, I would say. And like just going out and fighting those big monsters and stuff with friends, and just it was just a really unique experience. Nobody had ever experienced anything like that in the console space before. And you know, I still think Sega was ahead of its time in a lot of different ways, even not just with the Dreamcast, just with a lot of things, like, you know, the Sega CD, or remember Ed's Sega TV, and you could actually plug, like, there's a box set attached to your Genesis that you plug into, like, screw your cable into, and I begged my parents for that when Earthworm Jim came out, because that was like the game they were promoting on there.
Yeah,
I think there was a Mega Man game on there that was exclusive to Sega TV.
Because I think Mega Man 1 to 3 they had redid in the Sega Genesis graphics, like it was a remake.
Yeah, and so like I really think what we know in online gaming today started with Phantasy Star Online. You know, I really do, and it was a good looking game. It was a really unique feeling game, and it was a game that was ahead of its time, and definitely a pinnacle of what the Dreamcast was capable of, I think. So yeah, that's
for sure.
I mean, I don't really have a lot other to say about it, but it was a unique experience, and it was really the first game that I was like at least in an online space, where I was like, wow, you know, these are other people I'm playing with, you know.
Yeah, and wasn't didn't they have like a Christmas event that people were giving
they had
gifts and
they
stuff?
had like live events, which was crazy at the time, you know, like only games like EverQuest and stuff like that, those were really the only games that were doing that. And so
this was like the World of Warcraft for console games, for MMOs.
Yeah.
So
and it was like that was the first time that a console really got to experience it on that kind of level. So,
and I think too, what made it so successful and why people still love it today is like it was super what do you call it? It was like really easy to get into, and really it wasn't as overwhelming as a lot of even single player RPGs were, right? It was really the ease of getting into the game was also very something that I was into. So it's kind of like baby's first MMO, to be honest, but in like a good way.
Yeah.
So, but
nice.
Fantasy
Nice. Yes. So for me, it was like literally the first game. When I picked up my Genesis, I bought this game. Soul Calibur. That's my Genesis.
You got Soul Calibur on Genesis? Whoa.
I wish that was happening. Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast. This is my first game, first fighter, my first 3D fighter that I ever bought. I rented Soul Edge.
Okay.
Which was also known as Soul Blade. I rent that on PlayStation, but I never owned it. But like Soul Calibur was the first one that I owned. Then Soul Calibur 2 came from GameCube, and it was over. Like if you were a fighting fan, if you didn't have a GameCube and you didn't have Soul Calibur 2, you were missing out. The mugs, the way that everybody was
third-party game on the GameCube, and it was also the best-selling version of the game, which was the only third-party game on the GameCube that sold better on the GameCube than it did on any other platform it was released on.
Crazy.
Yeah. So well, because that was that was the first time that they had where you could be Link, wasn't it? Or
yeah. That was the
Yeah,
exclusive character.
yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
nobody bought it for. I mean, you either bought the Xbox version for Spawn or you bought the GameCube
Yeah.
version for Link. Nobody
yeah,
they had Hitachi from Tekken
Uh-huh.
in
yeah.
the PlayStation version. It's like, why would I play as this character that's already in another fighting game that's successful on this?
Yeah,
I thought the PlayStation guest character was the weakest, but I
Yeah.
also like Spawn was really strange, but also kind of I feel like Spawn fits better in Mortal Kombat than he does in
Yeah.
Soul Calibur. But Link was just just awesome. That he had the Master Sword, or like when you upgraded your weapons, you could get the Megaton Hammer or the Big Goron Sword, or there's just a lot of different weapons he had from just throughout Zelda, and it was awesome. It was so good.
Yeah, yeah,
Plus, like, it was cool because it was the Link from the GameCube reveal event from that first trailer of the game that we never got.
yeah. That we thought was going to be the next one before they came out with the Wind Waker, right?
Yeah. So, man, that was a good one. That was a good pick.
Yeah, Soul Calibur, I love that game. So
Yeah.
everybody, that is our 15 games for the Dreamcast.
I mean,
Anyone
there's-
have?
There's some other standouts too, right? That we didn't talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
you were
Guys
getting
of
there. Okay.
Arcadia.
I was gonna get to that. So we have some other ones that didn't make our list. So let's throw them out there, guys. Jesse, you said Skies of Arcadia.
Yeah.
I
Gosh.
played it on game.
I-
I played it on GameCube.
I also played it on GameCube.
Like
Yeah, see,
everybody,
I never really got to play it at all. I just like I had knew about it obviously, and like have looked into it more now, and I do eventually would like to pick it up, but
It's a good one. Marvel
Yeah.
Marvel vs. Capcom, I think, is super important to the Dreamcast.
yep.
I mean, we didn't even mention Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. I mean, I know they're not.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they were kind of awesome at the time, but I think they're 3D games that didn't really age well.
Yeah. But like, yeah, and I think we kind of meant like Shenmue, like and those kind of games. And like for me, like I loved the like I had my PlayStation for the Time Crisis games, and then Dreamcast, got the House of the Dead games, which I loved.
yeah.
Those shoot 'em up games that I loved playing in the arcades.
They had Typing of the Dead for the Dreamcast too.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, and that's another thing that we didn't even touch on. Like, the fact that you could browse the internet from your console was so amazing at that time, and it just was nothing. It just was something that no one else was able to do yet. Even when the
Yeah.
PS2 came out, you couldn't even do it there. Like, it wasn't until the Xbox, which I called the Dreamcast the pre-Xbox, because it basically was made by, like parts of it were helped by Microsoft. So,
Yeah,
Like,
because
yeah.
I think they had the Windows operating system or something Windows related in the Dreamcast.
yeah, it was the CE or something, Windows CE or something like that.
Yeah. Corey, did you want to throw out some games?
I think Dino Crisis was pretty good there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Res was, I know, has kind of been a popular game. I've never personally played it.
Res was super hard to find on Dreamcast.
Yeah. I that was the thing. I don't even know if I had ever seen it personally, but I knew that was that was a thing at that time, and yeah, it became pretty popular. But I think it more was popular on PS2, wasn't it, or whatever, or PlayStation, the
Yeah.
Res game.
I know Grandia or Grandia or Granda one was big on Dreamcast, and then part 2, and we just got the HD remake or remaster last year, which has some
Yeah.
problems. But yeah, That game was super big on Dreamcast. That was a really big one. Corey, or anyone got any more? Corey, I know you said you had like about 12.
Did
I mean,
you
we kind of mentioned
did
them in various points of the conversation, like Unreal Tournament and
yeah
you know,
did
Illbleed and you know, Resident Evil. Like the Resident Evil games were superior on Dreamcast, I think. You know, just
yeah
those types of games that we mentioned in passing, but never really
did
talked about.
did either of you ever play the wasn't there a Star Wars games on there as well
Yeah,
that were pretty good?
Jedi Power Battles was on there, which was pretty good. It was like a
Yeah.
multiplayer thing where you played through you played through episode 1, but it was really like the set pieces of episode 1, but you could play as like Mace Windu and Yoda when you escaped from the droid ship and stuff. Like it was
That was the racing game, right?
no Jedi
No,
Power
it was
Battles
just the
was
regular.
a like a I don't know. It was basically a 3D action game, a multiplayer 3D action game.
I don't remember
And
that one.
then there was Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, which was the racing game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that one was
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah,
I
I never
remember.
I never played any of the Star Wars games. Like I loved Star Wars, but for whatever reason I just never played the one. I always seen I think it was the Power Battle one. I remember them fighting with lightsabers on the front.
yeah, that was it.
I remember seeing that one in the stores and like at like Blockbuster and or the like the local rental places. Um but yeah, I never really actually played it.
Yeah,
And
if you ever find it, it's pretty fun to play through at least once.
Okay.
we had Seaman, and Shimu. Once the Seaman was
Yeah.
that was kind of one of the first microphone games that you would play. You used
They
to-
saw Hey You Pikachu and they were like, "Oh crap. We got to get on this microphone train, guys. This could be huge."
Yeah.
So Jesse, Echo the Dolphin, Defender of the Future, is that the second game in the Echo the Dolphin series?
I think it's the
Or
third.
was
Because
that part?
there's two on
yeah,
Genesis.
I think it was the third
The
the
third.
third one. The thing is a lot of the like all of them I feel like start out very similar, so it's even hard to really tell. Um
Oh,
but I liked Echo the Dolphin just because I thought it like was so realistic looking.
yeah.
Like for just for it and like how it's kind of like how people praise Untitled Goose Game. Like
Yeah.
it just felt like the movements were so fluid and really felt like like you were controlling the dolphin, like a real dolphin. Like it, like I think that's really what I was amazed by is just by how realistic and how realistic it felt and looked and all that stuff. Even the Sega one, the original one on the Sega Genesis, like
Mhm.
it looks amazing. Like graphics wise, it's like honestly, it's hard to tell that you're playing it on a Genesis.
There's a garbage RPG game that I play and that end up hating also called Evolution. This was published by Ubisoft. Oh, do not look at that game. That game is, I won't say garbage. It was questionable content. I keep forgetting. I'm sorry, boss. I apologize.
I speaking of Ubisoft though, I think Rayman 2 and 3 were on Dreamcast and they were
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
solid 3D platformers
Yeah.
there.
yeah. I know for sure two was yeah, it must be. Yeah, another game too that I never really played, but I always was interested in playing was Toy Commanders or Toy
Yeah.
Commander or whatever it was
Mhm.
called.
Yeah.
Like I played like the soldier, the toy soldier games or whatever eventually on like 360 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But or no, actually I think the first game like that I played was on N64. Yeah, those were fun, like those toys or toys to life type game where it almost feels like you're playing like a pre Toy Story.
Yeah.
But it's army, like an army war type games, but you're the little toy army men and stuff. Yeah. Toy helicopters and stuff. Those are always fun games. And the worm games or whatever, those are always fun too.
Oh gosh, worms.
Worms.
Don't forget everybody's favorite puzzle game, Choo Choo Rocket.
Yes. Choo Choo Rocket, I love that. Guilty Gear X, Gunbird 2, which was a Capcom, Capcom. Hydro Thunder was another one. They had Evil Dead, Hail to the King, Gauntlet Legends, The House of the Dead 2, in that series. We talked about Ikaruga being on there.
What? I think I played the Spawn game on Dreamcast too. I think it was the Dreamcast one that I played. Because I think I played the one on Dreamcast and the one that was on PlayStation, the PS2 or whatever it was. But it wasn't the greatest in the world. But like at the time, though, I took whatever I could because I just loved Spawn during that time. That was like peak Spawn fandom for me during that time.
Goodness. MDK2. I did try to beat Sonic 1, Sonic Adventures, and every time I got to that last boss, it was beating my tail. I kept getting killed on it, and it was just like, what the heck? Jesse mentioned on a previous episode playing a version of Half-Life 2. Let's just put that in quotes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That any other games, Mortal Kombat Gold.
Mortal Kombat Gold was amazing, but I think I've mostly played that on PlayStation. Yeah. Corey, you have any more? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I'm trying to work on the website at the same time, and I don't want people to hear me click on the keyboard, although I've forgotten to mute myself a few times. So sorry, everybody. But I think we hit a lot of the big ones. I think.
Power Stones.
Yeah, Power Stones.
Yeah, Power Stones.
Which I think is I think Power Stone's a little overrated. But that's just me. But yeah, I don't really.
It was unique at the time.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just think a lot of people look at it with rose-colored glasses and think, it was good for the time, but didn't age well type situation.
But I think if Sega decides to do a Nintendo Online thing and bring these games to if they want to bring it to the eShop, that's fine. But if they want to do an online service and bring it to Nintendo,
I mean, they kind of are, Switch, right? With Sega Ages, I know they're just kind of doing Master System and Genesis stuff now, but they have talked about doing Dreamcast at some point in the future.
Yeah, I really hope so. I really hope they do, because there's a lot of Dreamcast games, and I think it was a good thing that they brought out the Dreamcast, and even though it did fail, that still somehow Sega became a third-party publisher, and once they put their stuff on Nintendo platforms, on GameCube, and there's even a picture I did get EGM that Sonic and Mario are shaking hands. Sega stock in there, they were making money over fists like crazy when they put their stuff on GameCube and then other systems. So, and they had go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the just the Dreamcast in general, just the stuff they were doing, man, before everyone else, it was just awesome. I just love the Dreamcast. They just had so many good ideas, but it was just they were too ahead of their time, and people, even just like the memory cards, we talked about that earlier, and how they were basically like the Tamagotchis and things like that, where, like certain games would make it where it was like a pet thing you could take care of, or you could play, like you guys said, like games and stuff on them. And people, all the rave was like, oh, what games have the cool game thing that you can do on your memory card? Because I want to get that game that's got the cool thing that you can do, especially on the memory card and stuff like that. And just like the cool like icon that would pop up on it of whatever game you're playing, and like they just had such cool ideas.
So they had Star Wars Episode 1, Jedi Power Battles, Star Wars Episode 1, Racer, and Star Wars Demolition.
Yeah.
Oh, Star Wars Demolition. I forgot about that game.
I was just looking at the Star Wars games that came out to it.
I mean, if we sat here long enough, we could just read a whole list and talk about every single game. And I think we made the top 5 list, so we wouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Yes. So everybody, that is our discussion about the Dreamcast. I want to thank you, Jesse, for joining me. Thank you, Corey, for your production and doing what you do as best. You can find more of us at bossrushgames.com and on our YouTube page, Boss Rush Games. You can find our podcast there, and also find us on Twitter at boss_rush_games. You can find us on Facebook at the Boss Rush Games community page. We want to know what you guys think. Did you have a Dreamcast? What is your list? What memories did you have? You guys can email us at bossrushgamespro@gmail.com, or you can hit us at Twitter at boss_rush_games. With that, everybody, have a good week. Have a good weekend whenever you see this. And as always, let's all play games and be better to one another. With that, adios, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.